Today's video will be installing an oil catch can on this B48 engine. I already got one on a Jeep, but I want to put one on this B48, this BMW right here. And so, as always, the first thing you got to do is pop off, your covers. Hold up. There we go. You pop off your covers here, get those out the way. And for my man Randy talking about man, you should put carbon fiber on it. That is carbon fiber. See, I told you I got carbon fiber cover, dog. See that? There's your carbon fiber right there. All right. So this is the hose we'll be replacing. This one right here, we'll be taking this one off because this is coming out of your valve. And this is where all the pressure from the crankcase comes through this because there's blow off and all that stuff. It'll come back through this and it'll go back into your intake down here. Once it goes back into your intake, it goes back through your system and it sits on top of those valves. Remember the last time I took my air box off and it was all caked up and crudted on top? That's all the oil coming out of this crankcase, coming out of the valve cover, working its way back into the air system, and it comes through your charge pipe and everything, ends up right back in there. So when you got a GDI engine, you don't have fuel injectors don't come from the top. Your fuel injectors are already down inside of the engine and into the block. So because all this oil is dumping into the top, you got oil on the back of your valves, how you saw mine, all nasty and crusty and everything, and there's nothing left to clean it off. Oil catch can catches all of that before it gets back into the system. And so it's super easy to get these clips off. You can just press on the sides here. You press on the sides, it'll release. There's a lip inside of there. It'll release off the lip. You just pop it off. Now, it's going to be a little challenge getting this thing off because, like I said, you got to squeeze these two little tabs in on the side there and there. There's two little tabs you squeeze in on the side, and what it does is it releases these two little clips right on there. Okay, as I was taking that hose off, like I said, I got the hose off, but I broke it. See this? And so the end piece down here is still on. I'm going to leave this on. I'm just going to take the sheath around I'm going to take this little shield off the edge here because this hose is so brittle. Like I said, here's the hose right here that ended up snapping. This is the piece that I took off, but it ended up snapping because it's so brittle. See, like, watch. Hear that? This thing is just like, it's so brittle, it's cracking. And you can just hear it. It just heated up so much that it's to the point where this thing is just worn out. I mean, it's just all nasty and everything. Look at that. It just broke right off. This hose is not pliable at all. It just breaks and snaps. So, like, these are the new ones are nice and rubbery. So I'm not worried about it. I'm replacing it anyway, so it doesn't make a difference. But I saved the end. See, I got that little piece off the end. It was like a little, just like on the other one over here. This little stuff is still on it right here. So I got to get a, what I did is I got a razor blade and I just cut real slightly because I don't want to cut into the actual piece. So I cut real slight with a razor blade. I got a flathead screwdriver and I popped the little plastic ring off and now it's exposed to be good. So I'm going to use this to attach it to the new hoses. So that's all I'm going to do is attach it to the new hoses. That way I got my stock pieces that I'm using with the new setup. So I'm going to keep these ends. This is going to snap right back into where it was up here. This is going to snap right back in there, but it's going to have the new hose on it. I'm going to do the same thing to that one down here and just plug the hose onto that one so I never have to remove this at all, not off the car. I just got to get my razor blade and kind of cut a slit, get the flathead, break that off, slide the hose on it, good to go. Like I said, all your new hoses should be nice and rubbery. Okay, so here's this piece off of there. As you can see, I cut my slit in it. I was using my little razor blade, my little X-Acto knife, and I used that. So I kind of cut, and it cracks real easy because, like I said, it's real brittle. It cracks easy. So once I got it, I mean, now that's what it looks like down there. It looks like that. So you can see where, my little razor blade kind of touched the top of that. It didn't cut it through here. It just kind of scratched it up a little bit. That's cool. I could sand it down and make it look better, but it ain't no big deal. It didn't go all the way through, so I'm good. But you want that end to look like that. This end's going to stay like this because you're plugging the stock end back in, and we're going to take I'll explain to you where this hose goes and where that hose will come from as soon as I go get this. Okay, so looking at your oil catch can, this is like, these ain't even on here all the way. I just kind of put these on here because I want to hang it somewhere. I might take them off, but these are not even on there tight. This is like the little holder part. So here's how your oil catch can is going to work. I mean, you have your inlet, which is right over your baffle. That's your baffle right here. This is your baffle. So your inlet from the engine goes into this tube here, this tube right here. That's where and this goes to the intake. This side right here will go back into your air intake, the one at the bottom that I left on the car. So what happens is the air comes in through your valve cover from the engine, and it hits this baffle. All of this oil drips down from the baffle, and it drips into this oil catch can right here. So the baffle just traps and gathers the oil, let it drip down into there. It's too heavy to be air. The air is going to come back through here as much as possible, because I mean, it's not 100%, but it's going to be a whole lot less. It's not 100%, but a lot less than what you saw. So basically, that's how your catch can is going to work, and it keeps your intakes clean, the valves clean. You know, it shouldn't be as much oil, more fresh air versus dirty air going in. Okay, so this is how I got mine lined up. I only put one clamp. You see the silver clamp? I put the silver clamp on there down there just because, let me do like this real quick. Let me trap that. Yeah, I put this silver clamp on there down there just because I don't want any pressure to build up. I don't think pressure will be that strong coming from the intake, but I put a clamp on there just in case. And I put this little protective shield that was on there from the stock part. It was sitting on the table, so I just put it over here just to keep it. And that was my long tube. I got it coming up, wrapping around. I mean, there's enough airspace in here. It looks like it's kind of kinked, but it's not kinked. It's just bending right there. I wish I could do something different than that. This is the only part I don't like, that right there. I don't like that part. But the short hook hose, I got it coming from the actual valve cover, hooking back around. Let me do like this real quick. There we go. Yeah, hooking back around, and it's going into my my catch can. I got the catch can resting here. I'm gonna put a zip tie. I'm gonna wrap it around this piece here just to hold it in place with that clamp. It's not going anywhere because it's so secure. It moves up and down a little bit, but this thing is locked in there because these hoses are pushed against the firewall here, and it's got it locked in there. Like, it's not going anywhere. So all it's going to do is just stabilize this end to keep it from like kind of jumping around. For the most part, this ain't going nowhere. And it's kind of just hanging there. You know what I'm saying? It's a little catch can hanging there. But I want to see what I can do to probably get different hoses at some later point and reroute it so it looks a little different. I don't mind it looking like this now, but I would like to reroute it. Once I get my other intake, take off the stock intake, I could probably put the catch can somewhere in this area. But for right now, I'm going to let it sit right there. I'm going to put my little zip tie around there just to hold this from bouncing up and down. But it's locked in place. It can't go anywhere forward, backwards, nothing like that. But basically how you wrap this thing in there. Okay, so for right now, what I did, there's this little, bracket that was sitting here. I put a zip tie through the hole in the back of the bracket, wrapped it up under the bracket for the catch can, and I got it zip tied. So, it won't move anywhere now. So it's being held on by this little zip tie right here. And people say, oh my God, you're using zip ties on the Beamer? Trust me, they use zip ties all over this damn car when it was built. They got them everywhere. But so that'll be for right now, for temporary, until, when I get the new air box, that can is going to move. It's going to sit in this area here because with the new intake, it's going to wrap around and just sit right here. And it'll have the cone right here, which will give me all this free space right here to run my catch can from. So right now, this is kind of how it looks. I mean, it looks pretty cool. It's sitting there. It ain't going to move. It's not touching anything. It's kind of hanging in the air, so it should keep the air in there pretty cool. It's sitting right over my turbo right there. But it should keep, everything pretty cool. It'll catch whatever oil before it hits my intake. And that's the main purpose of it, just to catch that oil before it gets to the intake, to keep my valves clean, keep my intake clean. That's it. And like I said, and even over here, I mean, just with this piece sitting over here, I mean, you can see all this oil that was just coming out of it as it was sitting here draining. Like all this oil and stuff, that's actually, like, and it's all over the packets of everything. Like I said, this oil would have ended up on my valves. So you get a lot of blow by. And if you don't have those fuel injectors on top of the valves, cleaning the valves out, this is what's going to end up in your intake, all of this. And that's going to burn in there. It's going to become crud, become real carbonized and everything. The only way you can protect this from happening is, like I said, oil catch can. It catches it before it actually makes it to your intake. And like I said, mainly it's good with GDI engines. GDI engines, like I said, those are the engines that have the valves on top. The valves are on top up here, and your injectors are up under down here. Now, some engines you got with the ports where you got the injectors on top with the valves at the bottom, and so the injectors are spraying fuel on top of the valves, keeping the valves clean. But with this type of engine, because the valves are up here and the fuel is coming down here, fuel never touches my valves. This is the only crap that gets on top of my valves is what's coming through here. And so that catch can prevents all of that from happening. And there you go. Everything's locked in there. I got the catch can, all of the all that oil vapor will be coming on the side over here, getting it out of the way. And hopefully this works. Like I said, I'll be moving that pretty soon, and I'll be putting it where you see this big Can-Am filter. When I take this thing out, that's when I can move my catch can over on this side.